Takwani, Code of Civil Procedure. Part 1, Preliminary. Introduction, Procedural Law, History of the Code, Commencement, Consolidation and Codification, Extent and Applicability, Object of the Code, Scope, Code is not exhaustive, Interpretation, Scheme of the Code, Retrospective Operation, Code at a glance, Definitions. General. Important definitions, page number 15. Decree, meaning, essential elements, adjudication, suit, rights of parties in controversy, conclusive determination, formal expression, test, decisions which are decrees, illustrations, decisions which are not decrees, illustrations, classes of decrees, preliminary decree, final decree, partly preliminary and partly final decree. Deemed decree, meaning, nature and scope, decree and deemed decree distinction, deemed decree under CPC, rejection of plaint, restitution, execution, dismissal for default, appealable orders, decree and judgment distinction, decree and order distinction, decree and deemed decree distinction, judge, judgment, meaning, essentials, judgment and decree distinction, order, meaning, order and decree similarities, order and decree distinction, decree holder, judgment debtor, foreign court, foreign judgment, legal representative, mesne profits, meaning, object, against whom mesne profits can be claimed, assessment, test, principles, illustration, interest, deductions, public officer, other important terms, affidavit, appeal, cause of action, caveat, civil, court, defendant, execution, issue, jurisdiction, plaint, plaintiff, suit, summons, written statement. Part 2, Suits. Jurisdiction of civil courts, general, jurisdiction meaning, jurisdiction and consent, lack of jurisdiction and irregular exercise of jurisdiction, basis to determine jurisdiction, jurisdictional fact, decision as to jurisdiction, courts and tribunals, jurisdiction of foreign courts, kinds of jurisdiction, civil and criminal jurisdiction, territorial or local jurisdiction, pecuniary jurisdiction, jurisdiction as to subject matter, original and appellate jurisdiction, exclusive and concurrent jurisdiction, general and special jurisdiction, legal and equitable jurisdiction, municipal and foreign jurisdiction, expounding and expanding jurisdiction, jurisdiction of civil courts, section 9, conditions, suit of civil nature, meaning, nature and scope, doctrine explained, test, suits of civil nature, illustrations, suits not of civil nature, illustrations, cognizance not barred, suits expressly barred, suits impliedly barred, who may decide, presumption as to jurisdiction, burden of proof, objection as to jurisdiction, exclusion of jurisdiction limitations, exclusion of jurisdiction of civil court principles, general principles. Res sub judice and res judicata, general, res sub judice, stay of suit, section 10, nature and scope, object, conditions, test, res sub judice and res judicata, suit pending in foreign court, inherent power to stay, consolidation of suits, contravention effect, res judicata, section 11, general, section 11, nature and scope, object, illustrations, history, extent and applicability, res judicata and rule of law, res judicata and res sub judice, res judicata and estoppel, res judicata and stare decisis, res judicata and splitting of claims, res judicata whether technical, section 11 whether mandatory, section 11 whether exhaustive, interpretation, waiver, conditions, matter in issue, general, meaning, classification, matter directly and substantially in issue, explanation 3, matter actually in issue, matter constructively in issue, explanation 4, constructive res judicata, might and ought, matter collaterally or incidentally in issue, matter directly and substantially in issue and matter collaterally or incidentally in issue, distinction, findings on several issues, findings on matters not in issue, suit meaning, former suit explanation 1, issue meaning, res sub judice and res judicata, same parties, general, illustrations, party meaning, res judicata between co-defendants, res judicata between co-plaintiffs, pro forma defendant, interveners, minors, parties under whom they or any of them claim, representative suit explanation 6, conditions, public interest litigation, same title, general, meaning, illustrations, test, competent court, general, object, competent court, meaning, explanation 8, types of courts, court of exclusive jurisdiction, court of limited jurisdiction, court of concurrent jurisdiction, test, right of appeal, explanation 2, heard and finally decided, general, nature and scope, decision on merits, necessity of decision, finding on more than one issue, right of appeal, relief claimed but not granted, explanation 5, execution proceedings, explanation 7, industrial adjudication, taxation matters, public interest litigation, criminal proceedings, writ petition, general, doctrine explained, summary dismissal, constructive res judicata, habeas corpus petition, general principles, dismissal for default, dismissal in limine, dismissal of special leave petition SLP, ex parte degree. Res sub judice and res judicata, compromise degree, withdrawal of suit, change in circumstances, change in law, erroneous decision, test, interim orders, bar of suit, section 12, foreign judgment, general, foreign court definition, foreign judgment definition, nature and scope, object, illustrations, jurisdiction of foreign court, binding nature of foreign judgment principles, foreign judgment when not binding, circumstances, section 13. Foreign judgment not by a competent court, foreign judgment not on merits, foreign judgment against international or Indian law, foreign judgment opposed to natural justice, foreign judgment obtained by fraud, foreign judgment founded on breach of Indian law, presumption as to foreign judgment, section 14, submission to jurisdiction of foreign court, foreign judgment and res judicata, conclusiveness of foreign judgment, irregularities not affecting foreign judgment, effect of foreign judgment, enforcement of foreign judgment, suit on foreign judgment, execution proceedings, foreign award, execution of foreign judgment, place of suing, general, scheme, pecuniary jurisdiction, general rule, nature and scope, object, mode of valuation, power and duty of court, objection as to jurisdiction, place of suing, territorial jurisdiction, types of suits, immovable property, section 16 to 18, movable property, section 19, compensation for wrong, section 19, other suits, section 20, selection of forum, jurisdiction as to subject matter, place of suing, general principles, forum shopping, objection as to jurisdiction, section 21, general, object, objection as to territorial jurisdiction, objection as to pecuniary jurisdiction, objection as to subject matter of jurisdiction, objection in execution proceedings, position prior to Amendment Act 1976, position after Amendment Act 1976, bar of suit, section 21A, institution of suit, general, suit meaning, essentials of suit, parties to suit order 1, general, plaint meaning, joinder of parties, joinder of plaintiffs rule 1, joinder of defendants rule 3, necessary and proper parties, non-joinder or misjoinder of parties rule 9, objections as to non-joinder or misjoinder of parties rule 13, striking out, adding or substituting parties, Rule 10. Adding or substituting plaintiffs, striking out or adding parties. Power and duty of court, test, principles, effect, transposition of parties, representative suit, Rule 8, general definition, object, enabling provision, institution of suit, conditions, numerous persons, same interest, permission by court, notice, title, addition or substitution of parties, non-compliance effect, withdrawal or compromise, conduct of suit, Rule 8a, decree, res judicata, abatement, cause, execution, frame of suit, Order 2, inclusion of whole claim, Rule 1 and 2, as far as practicable, splitting of claim, object, Order 2, Rule 2 and res judicata, interpretation, illustrations, conditions, same cause of action, one of several reliefs, leave of court, test, principles, applicability to other proceedings, joinder of claims, Rules 4 and 5, joinder of cause of action, Rule 3 and 6, one plaintiff, one defendant, and several cause of action, joinder of plaintiffs and cause of action, joinder of defendants and causes of action, joinder of plaintiffs, defendants, and causes of action, objections as to misjoinder of causes of action, Rule 7, institution of suit, Order 4, general, plaint meaning, presentation of plaint, Section 26, R4, R1, Order 4, Rule 1, time and place of presentation, particulars in plaint, register of suits, suit by indigent person, suit against minor, suit against dead person. Detailed pleadings, general, pleading, definition, Rule 2. Definition, Rule 1, object, importance, basic rules of pleadings, Rule 2, facts and not law, material facts, facts not evidence, concise form, other rules of pleadings, Rules 4 to 18, forms of pleading, pleading in writ petitions, alternative and inconsistent pleadings, construction of pleadings, striking out pleadings, Rule 16, signing and verification of pleadings, Rule 14 and 15, variance between pleading and proof, objection to pleading, amendment of pleadings, Rule 17 and 18, general, Rule 17, object, discretion of court, applicability to other proceedings, Rule 17, whether exhaustive, leave to amend when granted, leave to amend when refused, subsequent events, merits not to be considered, who may apply, who may grant amendment, notice to opposite party, recording of reasons, principles, at any stage of proceedings, amendment after commencement of trial, proviso, doctrine of relation back, limitation, res judicata, successive applications, on such terms as may be just, appeal, revision, writ petition, failure to amend, Rule 18. Plaint and written statement, general, plaint Order 7, meaning, particulars, Rule 1 to 8, parties to suit, cause of action, jurisdiction of the court, valuation, limitation, Rule 6, relief, Rule 7 and 8, events happening after institution of suit, admission of plaint, Rule 9, return of plaint, Rule 10 and 10b, rejection of plaint, Rule 11, where plaint does not disclose cause of action, where relief claimed is undervalued, where plaint is insufficiently stamped, where suit is barred by law, where plaint is not in duplicate, where there is non-compliance with statutory provisions, other grounds, procedure on rejection of plaint, Rule 12, effect of rejection of plaint, Rule 13, appeal, documents relied on in plaint, Rules 14 to 17, agents and pleaders, Order 3, appearance of parties, Rule 1, recognized agents, Rule 2, agent meaning, recognized agent under CPC, pleaders, Rule 4, pleader definition, appointment of pleader, Rule 4, status of pleader, authority of pleader, duties of pleader, responsibilities of pleader, strike by pleaders, appearance by proxy, service of process, Rules 3 and 5 to 6, summons, Section 27 to 29, Order 5, summons meaning, object of issuing summons, essentials of summons, Rules 1 and 2, form of summons, summons to defendant, Section 27, Order 5, Rule, appearance in person, Rule 3, exemption from appearance in person, Section 132 to 33, Rule 4, content of summons, Rule 5 and 8, plaint and written statement, continued, mode of service of summons, Rule 9 to 30, personal or direct service, Rule 10 to 16, service by court, Rule 9, service by plaintiff, Rule 9a, substituted service, Rule 17 and 19 to 20, service by post, refusal of summons, objection as to service of summons, Service of summons in special cases, Rule 21 to 30, written statement, Order 8, meaning who may file written statement, when written statement may be filed, outer limit for filing written statement, particulars, Rule 1 to 5 and 7 to 10, special rules of defense, document relied on in written statement, Rule 1, set of Rule 6, meaning, doctrine explained, illustrations, types, conditions, effect of set off, equitable set off, legal and equitable set off distinction, set off and counterclaim distinction, counterclaim Rule 6A, 6G, meaning, doctrine explained, object, nature and scope, modes of setting up counterclaim, who may file counterclaim, when counterclaim may be set up, effect of counterclaim, set off and counterclaim distinction, appearance and non-appearance of parties, general, appearance of parties, Rules 1 and 12, where neither party appears, Rule 3, where only plaintiff appears, Rule 6 to 10, where only defendant appears, Rule 7 to 11, where summons is not served, Rule 2 and 5, ex parte degree, meaning, remedies, appearance and non-appearance of parties, setting aside ex parte degree, Rule 13, who may apply, where application lies, grounds, summons not duly served, sufficient cause, good cause and sufficient cause distinction, grounds whether exhaustive, material, date, common defaulting party, power and duty of court, test, precedents, irregularity in service of summons, effect, burden of proof, sufficient cause, illustrative cases, no sufficient cause, illustrative cases, limitation, notice to opposite party, procedure. Upon such terms as the court thinks fit, imposition of conditions, inherent power to set aside decree, res judicata, successive applications, execution of decree, effect, decree satisfied effect, extent of setting aside ex parte decree, effect of setting aside ex parte decree, hearing of application pending appeal, dismissal of appeal against ex parte decree, appeal, revision, review, suit, first hearing, general, first hearing, meaning, object, issue, meaning, framing of issues, Order 14, Rule 1, kinds of issues, Rule 1 and 2, importance of issues, court's power and duty as to issues, materials for framing issues, Rule 3, omission to frame issues, disposal of suit, Order 15. Discovery, inspection and production of documents, general, discovery and inspection, Order 11, discovery, meaning, nature and scope, interrogatories, Rule 1 to 11, meaning, object, who may administer interrogatories, against whom interrogatories may be allowed, form of interrogatories, objection to interrogatories, rules as to interrogatories, interrogatories which may be allowed, interrogatories which may not be allowed, non-compliance, effect, appeal, revision, discovery of documents, Rules 12 to 14, nature and scope, object, who may seek discovery, against whom discovery may be ordered, conditions, objection against discovery, admissibility of document, document disclosing evidence, privileged documents, oppressive discovery, non-compliance, effect, rules as to discovery, inspection of documents, Rule 15 to 19, privileged document, premature discovery, Rule 20, non-compliance with order of discovery or inspection, Rule 21, admissions, Order 12, nature and scope, object, importance, kinds of admission, conclusiveness of admission. Admission should be taken as a whole. Notice to admit case, Rule 1, notice to admit documents, Rule 2 to 3A and 8, notice to admit facts, Rule 4 and 5, judgment on admission, Rule 6, production, impounding and return of documents, Order 13, nature and scope, production of documents, Rule 1. Discovery, inspection and production of documents, admission of documents, Rule 4 to 7, return of documents, Rule 7 to 9, rejection of document, Rule 3 and 6, impounding of documents, Rule 8, affidavits, Order 19, meaning, essentials, contents of affidavit, evidence on affidavit, Rule 1 to 3, false affidavit, interim order, general, payment in court, Order 24, security for costs, Order 25, applicability, Rule 1, object, failure to furnish security, Rule 2, commissions, Order 26, issue of commissions, Section 75, purposes, Section 75, to examine witnesses, Section 76 to 78, Order 26, Rule 1 to 8, to make local investigation, Rule 9 and 10, to adjust accounts, Rule 11 and 12, to make partition, Rule 13 and 14, to hold investigation, Rule 10A, to sell property, Rule 10C, to perform Ministerial Act, Rule 10B, powers, Rule 16 to 18, expenses, Rule 15, commission for foreign tribunals, Rules 19 to 22, limitations, report of commissioner, evidentiary value, issuance of commission by Supreme Court and High Courts, arrest before judgment, Order 38, Rule 1 to 4, nature and scope, object, grounds, Rule 1, discretion of court, conditions, security, Rule 2 to 4, Where arrest before judgment not allowed, appeal, revision, arrest on insufficient grounds, section 95, attachment before judgment, order 38, rule 5 to 12, nature and scope, object. Interim orders, grounds, rule 5, principles, conditional attachment, mode of attachment, rule 7, exemption from attachment, rule 12, rights of third party, rule 10, adjudication of claims, rule 8, reattachment on execution, rule 11, effect of attachment, removal of attachment, rule 9, appeal, revision, wrongful attachment, attachment on insufficient ground, section 95, temporary injunction, order 39, rule 1 to 5, general, meaning, doctrine explained, object, types who may apply, against whom injunction may be issued, grounds, rule 1, principles, prima facie case, irreparable injury, balance of inconvenience or balance of convenience, other factors, discretion of court, injunction which may be granted, injunction which may not be granted, inherent power to grant injunction, notice, rule 3, ex parte injunction, recording of reasons, imposition of conditions, doctrine of precedent, public projects, res judicata, interim relief for limited period, effect, continuation of interim relief to approach higher court, restoration of benefits, appeal, revision, breach of injunction, rule 2a, injunction on insufficient grounds, rule section 95, interlocutory orders, order 39, rule 6 to 10. Interim orders continue. Receiver, order 40, meaning, object, discretion of the court, appointment, rule 1a, principles, who may appoint a receiver, who may be appointed as a receiver, powers, rule 1d, duties, rule 3, liabilities, rule 4, appeal, revision, withdrawal and compromise of suits, general, withdrawal of suit, order 23, rule 1 and 2, withdrawal without leave of court, rule 1, clause 4, withdrawal with leave of court, rule 1, clause 3, grounds, effect of leave, suits by minor, rule 12, rule 1, clause 2, withdrawal by one of the plaintiffs, rule 1, clause 5, limitation, rule 2, applicability to other proceedings, appeals, revisions, representative suits, writ petition, execution petition, appeal, revision, compromise of suit, rule 3 and 3b, general, satisfaction of court, compromise on behalf of minor, compromise by pleader, representative suit, rule 3-b, compromise decree and res judicata, compromise decree and estoppel, execution of compromise decree, bar to suit, rule 3, capital A, appeal, revision, death, marriage, insolvency of parties, general, death of party, rule 1 to 6, death of plaintiff, death of defendant, right to sue, nature of inquiry, death, marriage and insolvency continued. Applicability to other proceedings, rule 11 to 12, partial abatement, determination of question as to legal representative, duty of pleader to communicate death of party, rule 10a, procedure where there is no legal representative, effect of abatement, rule 9, suit against dead person, consequences, general principles, marriage of party, rule 7, insolvency of party, rule 8, insolvency of plaintiff, insolvency of defendant, evolution of interest, rule 10, trial, general. Summoning and attendance of witnesses, order 16, summon to witnesses, rule 1, contents of summons, service of summons, rule 8, failure to comply with summon, rule 10, attendance of witness in person, order 16a, summons to produce documents, section 30, adjournments, order 17, general rule, discretion of the court, when adjournment may be granted, when adjournment may be refused, power and duty of court, maximum adjournments, adjournment granted, illustrative cases, adjournment refused, illustrative cases, cost of adjournment, failure to appear, rule 2, hearing of suit, order 18, trial in open court, section 153b, trial in camera, right to begin and reply, rule 1 to 3, recording of evidence, rule 4 to 13, general, appealable cases, non-appealable cases, examination, de bene essay, rule 16, evidence recorded by another judge, rule 15, oral argument, rule 2, 3a and 3d, written arguments, rule 2, 3a, 3b and 3c. Judgment and decree, general, judgment, definition, section 2, clause 9, essentials, judgment and decree, pronouncement of judgment, rule 1, copy of judgment, content of judgment, rule 4 and 5, alteration in judgment, rule 3, decree, definition, essentials, decree and judgment, deemed decree, types of decree, necessity of decree, drawing up of a decree, rule 6a, form of decree, content of decree, rule 6, decrees in special cases, rule 9 to 19, interest 34, section 34, interest meaning, award of interest, division of interest, interest prior to suit, interest pendiente late, interest from date of decree, rate of interest, recording of reasons, commercial transaction, compound interest and inflation. Degree silent as to interest effect. Interest by arbitrator, interest in mortgage suits, interest in writ petition. Costs, section 35, 35A, 35B and order 20A. General rule, kinds of costs, general costs, section 35, miscellaneous cost, order 20A. Compensatory cost, section 35A, costs for causing delay, section 35B. Special suits for and general suits in particular. Special cases, suits by or against government or public officers, section 7982, order 27. General requirement of notice, section 80, clause 1. Special suits continued, nature and scope, object of notice, law commission view, essentials, statutory notice where empty formality, statutory notice whether mandatory, construction of notice, act purporting to be done in official capacity, waiver of notice, form of notice, mode of service, technical defect in notice, section 80, clause 3, exclusion of period of notice, leave of court, urgent relief, section 80, clause 2, writ petition, computation of limitation, premature suit, appeal, revision, title of suit, section 79, statement in plaint, parties, procedure, order 27, other privileges, suits by aliens, section 83, suits by or against foreign rulers, ambassadors and envoys, section 84 to 87A, suit against rulers of former Indian states, section 87B, suit by or against soldiers, sailors and airmen, order 28, suits by or against corporations, order 29, suits by or against partnership firm, order 30, suit by or against partner, rule 1, service of summons, rule 3, appearance by parties, rule 68, suits between co-partners, rule 9, suits against person carrying on business in name of others, rule 10, decree in partnership with suits, execution of decree against partnership firm, suits by or against trustees, executors, administrators, order 31, suits by or against minors and lunatics, order 32, minor definition, rule 1, nature and scope, object, suits by minors, rule 1 to 2A, suits against minors, rule 3, who may be appointed as guardian or next friend, rule 4, powers and duties of guardian or next friend, rule 7, rule 5 to 7, interest of infants of paramount consideration. Special suits, then retirement, removal or death of guardian or next friend, rules 8 to 11, decree against minors, rule 3A, minor attaining majority, rule 12 to 14, persons of unsound mind, suits concerning family matters, order 32A, friendly suits, section 90, order 36, nature and scope, object, conditions, procedure, appeal, interpleader suit, section 88, order 35, meaning, nature, scope, object, condition, section 88, illustrations, who may file interpleader suit, who cannot file interpleader suit, rule 5, test, procedure, order 35, rule 1 to 4, appeal, suits by indigent persons, order 33, nature and scope, object, indigent person, meaning, order 33, rule 1, contents of application, rule 2, rejection of application, rule 5, inquiry, rule 1A, where permission is granted, rule 8 to 9A, where permission is rejected, rule 15 to 15A, revocation of permission, rule 9, costs, recovery of court fees and costs, right of state government, realization of court fee, rule 14, appeal, appeal by indigent person, order 44, such suits avoiding questions as to interpretation of constitution or validity of statutory instruments, order 27A, mortgage suits, order 34, nature and scope, mortgage, definition, essentials, object, parties, rule 1, suits for foreclosure, rule 2 and 3, suits for sale, rule 4 to 6, suit for redemption, rule 7 to 9, summary suit, order 37, nature and scope, object, discretionary power, extended applicability, procedure, test, difference between summary suit and ordinary suit, recording of reasons, revision, principles, suits relating to public nuisance, section 91, nature and scope, object, public nuisance, meaning, who may sue, remedies, appeal, suits relating to public trust, section 92, nature and scope, extended applicability, object, conditions, section whether mandatory, who may sue, who may be sued, notice, relief, appeal, doctrine of Cyprus, part 3. Appeals, reference, review and revision. General, first appeal meaning, essentials, right of appeal, one right of appeal, suit and appeal, Appeal is continuation of suit, appeal and revision, first appeal and second appeal, conversion of appeal into revision, right of appeal, material date, section 96, who may appeal, appeal by one plaintiff against another plaintiff. First appeal continued, appeal by one defendant against another defendant who cannot appeal, agreement not to appeal, appeal nomenclature not material, appeal against ex parte decree, section 96, clause 2, no appeal against consent decree, section 96, clause 3, no appeal in petty cases, section 96, clause 4, appeal against preliminary decree, no appeal against final decree, where no appeal against preliminary decree, appeal against judgment, no appeal against finding, appeal against dual dead person, form of appeal, rule 1 to 4, memorandum of appeal, forum of appeal, valuation in appeal, presentation of appeal, rule 9 and 10, limitation, condonation of delay, rule 3a, stay of proceeding, rule 5 to 8, summary of dismissal, rule 11 and 11a, abatement of appeal, admission of appeal, rule 12 to 14, doctrine of merger, procedure at hearing, rule 16 to 14, right to begin, section 16, dismissal for default and restoration, section 17 to 19, ex parte hearing and rehearing, section 17 and 21, addition of respondent, rule 20, cross objection, rule 22, general nature, who may file cross objection, against whom cross objection may be filed, when cross examination may be filed, ambit and scope, cross appeal, whether may be treated as cross objection, form, limitation, cross objection against funding, explanation as to rule 22, clause 1, procedure as to hearing, omission to file cross objection, disposal of appeal and cross objection principles. First appeals continued. Power of appellate court, section 107, rule 23 to 29 and 33. Power to decide a case finally, section 107 1a, rule 24. Power to remand, section 107 1b, rules 23 and 23a, meaning, nature, scope, conditions, effect, day of trial court, conclusion and appeal. Power to frame issues and refer them for trial. Next, section 107 1c, rule 25 and 26, scope and effect, rule 23, 23a and 25. Distinction to power to take additional evidence against section 107 1x, rules 27 29, general, meaning, object, nature and scope, circumstances, recording of reasons, mode of taking additional evidence, power to modify decree, rule 33, general, illustration, object, rule 22 and 33, distinction, conditions, ambit and scope, limitation, conclusion, other powers, section 107, clause 2, duties of appellate court, a duty to decide appeal finally, duty not to interfere with decree for technical reasons, duty to reappreciate evidence, duty to record reasons, judgment, section 98, rule 30 to 34, decree, rules 35 to 37, letters, patent appeal, appeal to Supreme Court, second appeal, general, section 100, nature and scope, object. Second appeal and first appeal, second appeal and revision, substantive question of law, meaning, nature, scope, test, substantial question of law and question of law, general importance, formulation of question, duty of appellant, duty of court, hearing of appeal, saving power of the High Court, substantial question of the law involved, illustrative cases, substantive question of law is not involved, illustrative cases, no second appeal in certain cases, section 101, 102, no letters, patent appeal, section 100a, limitation, form of appeal, power of High Court to decide issue of fact, section 103, procedure at hearing, pending appeals, general principles, appeal from orders, general, order, meaning, order, decree, nature and scope, appealable order, section 104, order 43, other judicial orders, section 105, rule 1a, res judicata, limitation, forum of appeal, section 106, procedure at hearing, letters, patent appeal, appeal to Supreme Court, appeals by indigent person, general, who may appeal, rule 1, inquiry, rule 3, power and duty limit, payment of court fees, rule 2, limitation, letters of patent appeal. Appeals to Supreme Court, general, conditions, section 109, order 45, rule 3, 109, 45, 3. Judgment, degree or final order. Substantial question of law of general importance need to be decided by Supreme Court. Procedure at hearing, application for filing, and certificate of fitness, effect of amendment in Constitution, Security and Deposit Rule 7, 9 and 12, admission of appeal Rule 8, powers of court pending appeal, appeals under Constitution, reference, nature and scope, object, condition, reasonable doubt who may apply, power and duty of referring, court, power and duty of high court, procedures at hearing, costs, revision, reference and appeal, reference and review, reference and revision, reference under CPC and CRPC, reference under CPC and Constitution, general review meaning, nature and scope, object, review and appeal, review and reference. Who may apply, where review lies, circumstances. Cases in which appeal lies, but not preferred. Grounds in discovery of new evidence, error apparent in the face of record, other sufficient reasons. Subject for review and appeal. Review and reference, review and revision, who may apply, when review lies, circumstances. Cases in which no appeal lies. Cases in which appeal lies but not preferred. Decision on reference from our court of small clauses. Grounds, discovery of new evidence, error apparent on the face of record, other sufficient reason. By whom review may be made, no inherent power to review, form of application, crucial date, suo motu review, procedure at hearing, first stage, second stage, third stage, adjudication, appeal, letter of complaint, appeal, revision, review and writ petition, review by Supreme Court, concluding remarks, revision, general, revision, meaning section 1, section 115, nature and scope, object, revision and appeal, revision and second appeal, revision and reference, revision and review, revision and draft, revision and power of superintendence, conversion of revision into appeal, appeal, reference, review, revision, distinction, appeal and revision, first appeal, second appeal, second appeal and revision, appeal and reference, appeal and review, reference and review, reference and revision, page 68. Review and revision, first review and revision, law commission's views, whom may file. Conditions, case decided, subordinate court, no appeal lies, jurisdictional error, nature and scope, error of fact and error of law. Error of law and jurisdiction. Exercise of jurisdiction not vested by law, clause A, failure to exercise jurisdiction. Exercise of jurisdiction illegally or otherwise material. Irregularity, clause C, alternative remedy, other initiatives of revision. Form of revision, limitations, so much so called. For revision and other laws, interlocutory orders, and death of applicant, recording of hearing, let us interpret. Execution. Revision, error of law, error of jurisdiction, exercise of jurisdiction not vested by law, clause A, failure to exercise jurisdiction, clause B, exercise of jurisdiction illegally or with material irregularity, clause C, alternative remedy, other limitation of revisional jurisdiction, form of revision, limitation, suo motu exercise of power, revision under other laws, interlocutory orders, death of applicant, doctrine of merger, procedure, dismissal in limine, alternative remedy, exercise of jurisdiction illegally or with material irregularity, clause C, alternative remedy, other limitations of revisional jurisdiction, form of revision, limitation, suo motu exercise of power, revision under other laws, interlocutory orders, death of applicant, doctrine of merger, procedure, dismissal in limine, recording of reasons, letters patent appeal, revision. Next, execution. Execution in general, execution meaning, nature and scope, execution proceedings under CPC, Law Commission view, scheme of execution, important heads, Courts which may execute decrees, general. Court passing decree, section 37. Court by which decrees may be exercised, section 38. Transfer of decree for execution, section 39 to 42. Order 21, Rule 3 to 9. Execution of foreign decrees in India, section 43 to 44A. Execution of Indian decrees in foreign territory, section 45. Execution of decree at more than one place. Procedure and execution. Powers of transferor court, powers of transferee court, powers of executing court, general principles. Application for execution, general. Who may apply? Rule 10. Who cannot apply? Application for execution continued. Against whom execution may be taken out, to whom application may be made. Contents of application, Rule 11. Form. Procedure on receiving application, admission, Rule 17. Hearing of application, Rules 105 to 106. Notice of execution, Rule 22. Procedure after notice, Rule 23. Limitation. Execution application and res judicata. Stay of execution. When court may stay execution, Rule 26. Staying of order and quashing of order, distinction. Revival of execution, pending suit, Rule 29. Order of injunction and order of stay, distinction. Mode of execution, general. Choice of mode of execution, simultaneous execution. Discretion of court, modes of executing decrees, delivery of property. Movable property, section 5, 51A, Rule 31. Immovable property, Rule 35 and 36. Attachment and sale of property, section 51B. Arrest and detention, section 51C. Appointment of receiver, section 51D. Partition, section 54. Cross decrees and cross claims, Rule 18 to 20. Cross decrees, Rule 18 and 20. Cross claim, Rule 19 and 20. Payment of money, Rule 2 and 30. Nature and scope, mode of paying money, payment in court, payment out of court, certification of payment, effect of payment, uncertified payment, specific performance of contract, Rule 32. Injunction, Rule 32. Restitution of conjugal rights, Rule 32 and 33. Execution of document, Rule 34. Endorsement of negotiable instrument, Rule 34. Attachment of rent, mesne profits, Rule 42. Liability of surety, section 145. Decree against corporation, Rule 32. Decree against firm, Rule 49 and 50. Attachment of decree, Rule 53. Payment of coins and currency notes, Rule 56. Arrest and detention, general. Nature and scope. When arrest and detention may be ordered, who cannot be arrested? Section 56, 58, 135, 135A. Procedure. Notice. Order 21, Rule 37 and 40. Opportunity to judgment debtor of satisfying decree. Power and duty of court. Recording of reasons. Period of detention, section 58. Release of judgment debtor, section 58, 59. Rearrest of judgment debtor. Attachment of property, general. Nature and scope. Object. Property which can be attached, section 60. Property which cannot be attached, section 60 and 61. Modes of attachment, section 62. Order 21, Rule 43 to 54. Percept, section 46. Meaning, nature, scope, object, limitation. Garnishee order, Rule 46A to 46I. General, meaning, illustration, object, doctrine explained. Notice, effect of payment, failure to pay, cost, appeal, wrongful punishment, wrongful garnishment, determination of attachment, Rule 58 to 58. Private alienation of property after attachment, section 64. Nature and scope, object, interpretation. Private transfer, meaning. Questions to be determined by executing court. General, section 47. Object, nature and scope, condition. Parties are the representative. Execution, discharge, satisfaction of decree. Powers of executing court. Duties of executing court. Objection to validity of decree. General principles. Bar of suit. Appeal. Revision. Pending matters. Adjudication of claims, nature and scope, position prior to Amendment Act 1976, position after Amendment Act 1976, scheme, object, section 47, Order 21, Rule 58, distinction, who may apply, where application lies, stay of sale, suit, appeal, revision, pending matters, sale of property, general. Sale of property, general rules 64 to 73, power of court, Rule 64 to 65, proclamation of sale, Rule 66, 67, time of sale, Rule 68, adjournment of sale, Rule 69, 1 and 2, stoppage of sale, Rule 69, 3, default by purchaser, Rule 71, restriction to bid, Rule 72 to 73, sale of movable property, Rule 74 to 78, general, place of sale, agriculture produce, Rule 74, 75, negotiable instruments and shares, Rule 76, payment of price, Rule 77, irregularity in sale, Rule 78. Sale of immovable property, Rules 82 to 94, General. Courts competent to order sale, Rule 82. Postponement of sale, Rule 83. Deposit and payment of price, Rule 84-87. Bid by co-owner, Rule 88. Setting aside sale, Rule 89 to 92. On deposit, Rule 89. Nature and scope, object. Who may apply, conditions, limitations, notice, appeal for irregularity or fraud, Rule 90. Nature and scope, who may apply, grounds, material irregularity, fraud, substantial injury, limitation, notice, appeal, judgment debtor having no saleable interest, rule. Huh? Material irregularity, fraud, substantial injury, limitation, notice, appeal, judgment debtor having no saleable interest, Rule 91. Nature and scope, object, who may apply, saleable interest, limitation, notice, appeal, effect of setting aside of sale, Rule 93. Confirmation of sale, Rule 92. Certificate of sale, Rule 94. Effect of sale, Section 65. Delivery of property, General. Delivery of property, Rules 79 to 81, 95 and 96. Resistance to delivery of possession, Rule 97 to 103. Nature and scope, Rule 97 to 106. Scheme, application by decree holder or auction purchaser, Rule 97. Application by any other person, Rule 99. Hearing of application, Rule 105, 106. Inquiry and adjudication, Section 74, Order 21, Rules 97 to 101. Delivery of property, transfer of pendente lite, Rule 102. Appeal, Rule 103. Pendency of suit, 104. Distribution of assets, General. Nature, scope, illustration, object, conditions, interpretation. Assets available for rateable distribution, illustrative cases. Assets not available for rateable distribution cases. Cost of realization, mode of distribution, suit for refund, priority of government debts, nature and scope, object, constitutional validity, procedure, determination of claim, commercial activities of government, waiver, conclusion, appeal, revision, concluding remarks. Miscellaneous, transfer of cases, General, object, nature and scope, who may apply, Section 22 and 23, conditions, to which court application lies, application forms, grounds, general rule, consideration, approach of court, notice, hearing of objection, suo motu, transfer. Transfer of cases continued. Power and duty of court, calling for remarks, application for transfer after hearing, recording of reason, transfer on administrative grounds, transfer effect, cause, compensation, appeal, revision, transfer allowed, illustrative cases, transfer not allowed, illustrative cases, concluding remarks, restitution. Restitution meaning, doctrine explained, object, nature and scope, conditions, who may apply, against whom restitution may be granted, who may grant restitution, nature of proceedings, form of application, extent of restitution, inherent power to grant restitution, res judicata, bar of suit, limitation, appeal, revision, order of implemented files, order implemented, effect, caveat meaning, Section 148A, object, nature and scope, who may lodge caveat, when caveat may be lodged, when caveat does not lie, form, notice, rights and duties of caveator, of applicant, of court. Failure to hear caveator, effect, time limit, inherent powers of the courts, General. Inherent power meaning, inherent power scheme, enlargement of time, Section 148, payment of court fee, 149, transfer of business, 150, ends of justice, 151, abuse of process of court, 151, amendment of judgment, decree, order, other records, 152, 153, 153A, limitation, concluding remarks. Delay in civil litigation, General, dangers of delay, causes of delay, position prior to Amendment Act, Amendment 1976, Amendment 79 in 2002, suggestion, appendices, plain, written statement, issues, first appeal, second appeal, revision, injunction application, affidavit, caveat. Appendices, so A is plaint, Appendix B is written statement, Appendix C is issues, Appendix D is first appeal, Appendix E is second appeal, Appendix F is revision, Appendix G is injunction application, Appendix H is affidavit, Appendix I is caveat and subject index.